Hello, my name is Jalen Xavier Mason. Um, I was born on September 9th, 2002 in Chicago, Illinois, where I will also be raised until I was 18. For my whole school experience, I spent a lot of time moving around and changing schools. For example, I have never attended a school for more than 2 years, even in high school. Um, I have a pretty big family, with most of them migrating from Mississippi to Chicago um, a long time ago, meaning that I still have family out there in Mississippi um, that I go to see time to time, family reunions, things of that nature. And even though my family is pretty big, we're not as close as we should be, which makes birthdays and holidays a struggle to say the least. Um, as I said earlier, I've never been at a school for more than 2 years, so most of the classes I would take would change and vary from school to school. I say this because the very last school that I ended up transferring to had a coding class that I took. The teacher that I had actually had a certification to give the Microsoft coding test to people around, whether they were trying to get their certificate to teach or whatever. She was able to give those tests in the classroom. Um, which meant that me and my class were able to take the test for free, which is it usually costs or whatever, however much it costs. Um, so this was an amazing thing because instead of having to go downtown and waiting all day and going through the things that the normal person would, I was able to take my certification test. I'm sorry, in the class, and I ended up passing with an 80%. Meaning that I have my certificate, my Microsoft certificate, that I can now use on my resume when I'm looking for internships or whatever or whatnot. So now, as far as my personal life, I have a plethora of hobbies and things that I love to do outside of school. Um, I'm a baseball player. I play multiple instruments, the trumpet and the sax, the piano, um, and I really love fashion. Now, going back to baseball, my dad played baseball in college, and my granddad was a major league baseball player. So it was almost destined for me to play. Um, I've been playing baseball since I was 3 years old, and to this day, I'm still living out my dream of playing collegiate baseball here at Clark Atlanta University. To go even further, my dad and my mother actually met on a baseball field while coaching two different teams, so I was definitely born to play this game. Um, Now, moving on from my personal hobbies and interests and going back to school and what I want to be in the future, I'm a theater arts major and I'm an actor as well, which is another thing that most people don't see or know automatically. I've worked in national commercials, music videos, as well as short films and feature films. When I was young, I was also a model for BMG out in Chicago, which is another thing that people don't usually know about me. And now, since we're talking about my career path, since the pandemic hit, a lot of things that we did in the film industry had to change and pivot um, while we were stuck at home. The thing that changed the most and what I had to get used to was how we would audition. It went from auditioning in person in front of 4 or 5 casting directors or producers or whatever um, to auditioning and attending callbacks on a phone, through a self-tape, through a recording that you would make at home at your house in front of a blank wall. Um, so yeah, um, this really made me figure out my phone and my camera that's on my phone specifically um, more than I ever had, because I literally had to figure this out and figure how to tape and audition to be able to book jobs and make a living, you know what I mean? Um, I would have to get great at it, and I eventually did, and I think I did pretty good. I booked a lot of jobs over the summer that I booked from self tape, so that is one thing that I that technology helped me do. Um, and so, talking about phones and how useful they were to me over the past summer, in my opinion, they also pose a huge threat to us as well. Since, in my personal experience, since most of our private information is stored on our phones, it makes us super vulnerable to anybody who can have access to it, whether that be a hacker or even somebody you misplace your phone and leave it open. They have access to everything that you have there for their own use or whatever they want to do with it. For example, I know that plenty of people keep their social security, either their numbers or their card, whether they took a picture of it or whatever, on their phones, which means that it's only really a password away to gaining your whole identity and the thing that makes you you as far as the government is concerned. This is a huge problem as well because sometimes we don't even know that we're doing things that could compromise our most important information. Things like putting personal information on websites that are unsecured, or talking with people over the phone and giving out information over the phone when you don't really know who that person is personally, or you never talk to these people. That goes with credit card information, that goes with addresses, whatever that you do, that you give out that is personal to you, is really only a few words away from them gaining everything that you have. Um, there are, I'm sorry, it is so easy to slip up, and if you do it, it could have lasting effects on you, your safety, your financial situation. There are plenty of risks that go on with just being on the internet itself, on a phone or tablet or whatever you keep your stuff on. But there are ways to counter this though, and most of it is just common sense and being responsible and not giving information about yourself or your financial status without absolutely having to. You should not be giving out personal information if you're not on the phone with a person that you've met in person, that you know works at a bank or wherever that you're giving your information up to. You should know that person. You should know that person personally, even if it's not, you know, your best friend. It needs to be somebody that you've actually talked to and actually seen in person in their workplace, doing whatever they do. It only really takes a few searches to uncover certain things, and it could save you lots of time, energy, and money. And so, to conclude, to go back to my um, acting career and the things that I want to do when I grow up, my main goal is to, if baseball does not work out, to go and work in Atlanta, which is another reason why I'm here, to work in the industry and build my way up to start doing feature films and where I'm a lead or a supporting character in it, and yeah, and go from there. And so, thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Again, I'm Jalen Mason.